Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. It's a lovely sunny day in Pacific Canada. I hope it's the same for you. And most importantly, it's sunny in your hearts. Today, we are going to talk about chelation. Why chelation? Because recently a client of mine surprised me, said, oh, I did chelation on my own. Which made me freak out because in her case, you will understand why I don't recommend chelation. I will be going over chelation theoretically. I will give you some interesting facts and we will go over specifically what does chelation means for your body, how do we get metal poisoning, and what to do to get rid of it. This is not medical advice. I absolutely advise you to be well examined, well tested before you do chelation. And again, you will understand why. So chelation therapy is a proven treatment where heavy metal poisoning can be dealt with, and medical doctors and naturopathic doctors are doing it. There is a lot of other ways of doing chelation. I mean with herbs, but it's not that profound. It's not that efficient as the method that used mainly by the naturopathic doctors. So for chelation, some people also claim that the chelation can improve or be a useful treatment for Alzheimer's disease, for autism spectrum disorder. However, these claims lack substantial scientific evidence, but chelation therapy is proven scientifically to improve those conditions. The problem is that we get heavy metal poisoning. How we get heavy metal poisoning? Through the environment mainly, some through the food, through the tin cans, through the dirty air we're breathing, especially those of you who live in big cities. You are very much prone to really get a lot of heavy load of metals in the body. It doesn't mean that the body doesn't need metals, but it needs to get those metals through other natural ways and to a certain degree. When those metals exceed the level the body can handle, the problem is that the body stores it in the soft tissue. And previously in many videos, I explained to you that every cell in our body, including the cells of the soft tissue, have purpose. There are things they do, and when we overload them with elements that are not supposed to be there, then those cells do not perform as we wish them to perform. So the heavy metal toxicity is dependent mainly on the period the person has been exposed into it, the duration of the exposure, how much the person absorbed from the exposure, the way in which the absorption occurred, the type of metal that we are overloaded with, and the age of the person. So, for example, some of the more common metals that may cause heavy metal toxicity or poisoning are lead, cadmium, mercury, arsenic. These four are very typical. Later on, I'm going to go over others, and I will also mention where they are coming from and what are the main symptoms you can experience with them. So I first will mention some general symptoms that come from toxicity. So first of all, it's vomiting. This is a normal reaction of the body when the body has foreign agents or unwanted agents in the body. Then diarrhea. So first the digestive system reacts through the mouth. Then if it doesn't work, it reacts through the anus. Then overall weakness, because the energy resources of the body are redirected to deal with the toxicity. Nauseousness, the body will ask you, will force you to vomit and to slow down and to start maybe drinking water and to excrete what is the unwanted thing. And because mostly all these bad things that are coming into us are coming through the nose, the mouth, they made it to the stomach. You can have stomach pain as well. Dehydration can be also one of the symptoms, because the body needs a lot of water to expel something which it doesn't want. So how it works? Chelation therapy involves the administration of chelators. What are the chelators? These are, how do you call them? Chelators are elements, compounds that we take, and they bind with the metals. They bring them through the kidney, and the kidney recycles them and excretes them through the urine. That's what it's doing. Typically, it's done intravenous, so through IV drip. And this is very important to understand. Any other chelating techniques are not proven to lead to any results. So when my client told me I did chelation by myself, I got really worried, because there's a lot of information in internet where people post what they've done, and if they feel good after that, they put their own definitions and they suggest to other people without evaluating or without knowing their condition. And of course, when you don't have a base knowledge about those things, about how human body works and what a naturopathic doctor can do for you, what medical doctor can do for you, what a wellness therapist can do for you, you start making your own stuff, which can lead to very serious problems in a long run, especially in the case of my client who doesn't really have resources to do chelation or anything which is questionable on her own, because she's dealing with many things like IBS and etc., for which the body requires a lot of energy to simply keep her alive. And it's the same situation if you have a few conditions. You have to know that your body is fighting for your life, for your energy. So that's why I was really worried. I can provide you with some examples of chelating medications, but they are not over the counter. So that's why you need to address a doctor, a naturopathic doctor especially, in order to work on chelation. The chelators, as I said, they bind to metal molecules in our bloodstream, and then they filter out through the kidney. They filter out what it has to be expelled, and then the body is just excreting it through the urine. So the chelators are prescribed only after a very comprehensive profound, complex testing. Hair mineral testing is not enough to determine if you have metal poisoning, and you need to do chelation. There must be a blood test. Often they do urine tests as well, because doctors want to have way more information before taking this step, because the chelation process is very exhausting for the body. And here I would like to mention something very important. At the age of 40 or 50, our internal body is different than the age of 20 or 30, because those organs has been working for many years. They've been abused. They've been delivered a lot of agents that damage them, or slow them down, or make them stagnant. So when you start doing something drastically, like cleansing, different type of cleansing, or this is actually pushing the body to expel more than it can, then you have to consider the fact that these agents are moving through your bloodstream throughout the body. And they can, instead of going out of you, going somewhere where they don't belong and cause trouble there. So this is something to really think about. So I would like to say something about the cardiovascular disease, because there are claims that the chelation researchers are conducted of the large series of studies to assess whether chelation therapies may help reduce the risk of cardiovascular events. And listen to this, in people who have previously have a heart attack. We are not talking about people who have no heart problems. When we read the researches, we have to really read each word and understand it before we comment on it. So the most notable conclusion from these studies was that a chelation drug regimen led to a reduction in cardiovascular events in people older than 50 years and people who had already diabetes. So it's not so straightforward that a chelation can reduce your events, cardiovascular events. We have to listen to the science and read well what they are suggesting us. So what else I would like to mention here is that there are some very serious, more serious effects of chelation, which are different from the ones I read in the beginning. Like, for instance, you can have serious side effects like fever and chills, headaches, related to that circulation of all these agents that have to leave, be excreted from the body, but they don't leave, they go to places where they don't belong. There could be also a drop in the blood pressure. It could be low blood calcium. It could be irregular heartbeat, but these are very serious side effects. Severe allergic reactions, hypersensitivity, anemia even. There could be a kidney damage. As explained to you, everything goes through the kidney to be processed and excreted. There could be liver damage because all the poisons go through the liver in order to leave our body. Loss of vitamins and nutrients, this is also very important. Our body cannot function without vitamins and nutrients. So I would like to mention here that, first of all, lead is very common metal poisoning agent, and It interferes with the body, interferes with the liver enzymes. It's really bad. So in order for us to think that we have lead poisoning, first of all, we have to think, are we chronically exhausted? Because this is the major symptom when we have lead poisoning, chronic exhaustion. And then ask your doctor to check for lead poisoning. Then is the mercury poisoning. You heard many times that fish has mercury, especially big fishes, because they can accumulate a bigger amount of mercury. What are the symptoms for mercury poisoning? This is numbness, sore mouth, and gums. These are the symptoms for mercury intolerance or poisoning. And especially, I want to mention also that we have also very common arsenic poisoning. The reason why, naturally in the water there is arsenic, and I know this because we are on well water and we had to filter our water some way and remineralize after that, because in the seasons when it rains, it has a very high arsenic content, up to 40, which 40 is allowable only in Pakistan, I believe, just because the value there of arsenic in their water is too high. In the rest of the world, the standard is 10. So with us, it varies. So that's why we have to filter it. When you drink tap water or any other water, the arsenic content has to be checked. That's why when I suggested once certified water sources, I suggested certified water sources, because they check the arsenic and other metals, and they also check the bacteria in the water, which could be harming for people. So what do we do for metal poisoning? In herbalism, we give blood purifiers. You see, it's not directly towards the metal poisoning, to excretion. We give blood purifiers, which are mild and which help the blood to regain quality. And I'm gonna give you here one recipe for that, if you would like to try it, but this is not a chelation, no way. So here are some herbs you can put together. You can get half an ounce of the following three, and these are hyssop, wild Oregon grape bark, rosemary, herb. These you need in a dried form, and then you put 2 ounces of sweet basil and 1 ounce of parsley herb. So all these herbs you put in a dark jar, in the dark and in a dry place, and when you need it, you take 1 heaped tablespoon, you cover it with about 8 ounces of boiling water, and 10 minutes later you strain and you divide in 2 portions, and you can drink twice a day between meals. But this is for blood purifying. And now I would like to, just for your information, to tell you straight from one of my best book I'm using, Metabolic Typing Diet, where I first learned about metabolic types and how people should respect them when they eat, when they take supplementations, when they exercise, and etc. So we have sources of poisoning like aluminum. And aluminum can come from drinking water, from deodorants, from tobacco smoke, from some toothpaste as well, some pills as well, from treated water, from vanilla powder, from soda for cooking, this type of soda, from cosmetics, and etc. And some possible effects could be kidney dysfunction. This is pretty much for the filtering organs, the kidney and the liver, for every type of poisoning. But most disturbing is things like osteoporosis, where the impact is on the brain, on the bones, and stomach pain, weak and aching muscles. Then we have the arsenic poisoning again. It comes mainly from the water, from the pesticides, from oysters, shrimps, seafood, from insect sprays they use, and etc. And what would be the possible effects? Well, things like confusion, convulsion, things like abdominal pain, anorexia, brittle nails, diarrhea, nauseousness. The list is very long. I'm not going to read the list for you. If you are interested, this book is amazing. Or if you want me to send you all the possible effects from certain heavy metals, just let me know and I shall do this for you. Then another one is cadmium, which is very, very common. And which are the sources? Some of the sources are batteries, candy. They use it in candy, ceramics, cigarette smoke again, dental alloys, tap water, carpets, rubber carpets especially, vending machines, soft drinks also. Some of the possible effects were digestive disturbances. As I said, all the bad stuff and the good stuff goes through the mouth and nose, and high cholesterol can be, prostate dysfunction, reproductive disorders, and etc. Then we have copper. Copper is in the beer, wheat germ, yeast, birth control pills. Birth control pills, very bad for you, really. They elevate the copper levels in the body. Chocolate, bone metal, liver, lobster, margarine. This is something you should never touch, margarine. Then possible effects could be acne, adrenal insufficiency. This is bad. This is chronic, leads to chronic fatigue, Hodgkin's disease, and many more. Then you have iron poisoning, which is again in the water, in the clam. Leafy vegetables can go through the come through the leafy vegetables. Whole grains, shellfish, iron cookware, and iron pipes. And possible effects, let's say infections, insomnia, irritability, joint pain. This is common for iron poisoning. And at the end, I'm going to mention the lead. It's not lead, it's lead. I'm just thinking of something else now. The lead poisoning, and can come from tin cans, which I posted in the post before that, canned fruit and juices, household dust, industrial emissions, lead pipes, and etc. And the list is enormous for the symptoms, possible effects from the lead poisoning. I will mention just a few. Hyperactivity, headaches, hostility, adrenal insufficiency, allergies, anemia, muscle weakness. There are a lot, tooth decay, and a lot. So I can continue with mercury, nickel, and etc. But you can read those things for yourself. So recapping, what I would like to say is, chelation is a process of using chelators that are binding to the metals, in the heavy metals in your body, and try to drive them out of the body. The problem is that in order to do a chelation, you have to be well tested, profound, comprehensive tests, blood tests, urine tests, hair analysis, but not only one test. You have to confirm that for sure you have metal poisoning. Next, you have to work with your doctor. Do not do those things on your own because this process has side effects. The good thing is that the medications for that are not over the counter, but we have the internet where the information is a lot and very often incorrect. And some people are trying things. They wonder why they're fatigued or not feeling good or feel like vomiting and stuff like that. So when they do the drip IV, then they have drips with certain minerals that will support the body in order to do the chelation. So make sure you do it properly. And what you can do on your own is blood purifiers. These are herbs. The formula I just told you, you can use. This is not something that will harm you. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. I can guide you through the decision to do a chelation, because before thinking of heavy metal poisoning, you can do many things to see if you rule out that your tiredness is coming from your condition or your tiredness is coming from your lifestyle and etc. And then if all this is ruled out, you go to check yourself for heavy metal poisoning. So thank you for listening, and please, if you have questions below, just type questions and I will get back to you. Thank you.
Leave a question or comment and we'll be glad to answer. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.